Okay, here we go.
Hello everyone, ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਹਾਂ ਰਵਨੀਤ ਕੌਰ from Punjabi and Hindi ਤੇ as you all know ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ every fortnight ਸਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਇੱਕ ਨਵਾਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਨਵੀਂ information ਮਿਲੇ. So here we are with another new type of visa, that's 482 employer sponsor visa. Last week ਆਪਾਂ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀਗੀ 407 training visa ਬਾਰੇ and I'm pretty much sure ਕਿ ਉਸ visa ਬਾਰੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ happy ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਜਾਂ ਕਿ ਕਈਆਂ ਲਈ ਉਹ visa compatible ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀਗਾ. So hopefully ਹੁਣ ਵਾਲਾ 482 visa ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ compatible ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀਗੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲਈ beneficial ਹੋਊਗਾ. And today we have Tarminder Singh from Aussizz group standing with. So before starting, I would like to welcome him to our show.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you for a very good introduction. And it is Tuesday.
Yes.
Is it still morning? It is morning. Okay. Like Randy has already said, discussion, Jerry Pishli wala kiti, different visa altogether.
Yes.
407 training visa, Kia, Kini. Today, completely different. Apple and orange different. But we are going to talk about employer-sponsored visa that is going to lead to either a short-term visa or long-term visa, depending on your occupation. On occupation, then now you know we are कि पहली गल कि नॉमिनेशन की है वीजा की है ये तो पहला कि एम्प्लॉयर व्हाई डज एम्प्लॉयर वांट टू स्पॉन्सर उस तो बाद quite technical गल्ला अपने करनियां पैणियां आप we can't run away from
But
that.
I think it's really important.
It is really important कि अपन case study भी दोगे जितना समझा कि case study मतलब कि a real example.
Yes.
So we will choose because you have already nominated a occupation की आप उस दिन हम discuss करेंगे कि ये visa उन्होंने कितना applicable हो ठीक.
And it's really interesting to see कि जेड़ा trend पहला चल रहा सीगा, everyone was so interested for 457, but it's the same thing कि हुन 457 482 हो गया and
ये number ना ये हमेशा change होते हैं.
Yes.
ये चलो it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun क्योंकि 457 जिधर कई लोग आंके सन बोलते हैं कि हम 457 होगी. Same thing.
Yes.
It's just a different number. 457 होना 482 क्या है?
Yes.
Okay. So but है employer sponsor.
तो सामने भी अपने आप को update करना पड़ना. It's not 457 anymore. It's 482. Yes.
So it's been about a year and a half to 482.
Yes.
So shall we? You got questions? So our audience, we are going to let you know कि सब लोग के अंग्रेजी में भी गल्ला करेंगे, पंजाबी में भी गल्ला करेंगे. Is in between. Feel free to ask questions. The questions that हमेशा उन्होंने होने रहते हैं, you know Q&A. तो नालों जेरे साहब ना यही presentation करी है कि तानो जेड़ा भी question समझो कि तुम पहले ही तैयार करके रखे होगा ना. Feel free to just post the questions. But साडे नाल जेड़ी भी we gotta have a script with us. जेड़ी चीज़ें ने अहीं नहीं cover किया. We will definitely come to the questions. But once we finish everything, we'll now answer.
Yes, because साडा focus है online information भी मिले. And ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਆਨਸਰਸ ਵੀ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਕਰੀਏ but ਦੋਨੋਂ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਨੇ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਫੋਰੇਟ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਕਿਦਾਂ ਹੈ you can't think of applying that.
Absolutely. So we got a huge responsibility today.
Yes.
ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ information ਦੇਣੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਮਤਲਬ you know engage.
And I think you will be
oh, you're putting a lot of pressure already right now.
So let's start it.
Okay.
So ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਰਵਿੰਦਰ ਮੈਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ general introduction दे दो की
Okay, so हमेशा लोग ये ही पूछते हैं कि मैं के लिए काम कर रहा हूँ ते मनु जब मैं पढ़ रहा थे या whatever could be anything right ते मेरे options की options ਜਦੋਂ ਇਹ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਆ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਇੱਕਦਮ ਹੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਕਿ ਮੇਰਾ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਪੀਆਰ ਤੋਂ ਪੈ ਸਕਦਾ ਜਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਜਾਂ 1 ਸਾਲ 2 ਸਾਲ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਵੀ ਚਿਰ ਬਾਅਦ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਲਈ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਮਿਲੂ ਚਲੋ ਇਟਸ ਅ ਵਿਨ-ਵਿਨ ਸਿਚੁਏਸ਼ਨ ਹੁਣ ਐਮਪਲੋਇਰ ਵੀ ਰਹੂਗਾ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਐਮਪਲੋਇਰ is going to have different motives at the same time but a visa is very specific. It's a temporary visa but it's an employer sponsored visa. Okay, 3 steps again. Pehla steps if you like we can go straight into it. A visa should be available locally because of skill shortages and employers cannot get some of these people.
Yeah.
ठीक है? शुरू तो it's been there for a very long time. Okay, number has changed. That's fine.
Yeah.
But the requirements has also changed. Not only the requirements kitno tak change ho gaya, both for the sponsor as well as the applicant.
And COVID-19 ਕਰਕੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਵੀ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਲਾਈਕ ਬੜੀ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਆਪਣਾ ਲਾਈਕ ਓਕੂਪੇਸ਼ਨ ਲਿਸਟ ਐਂਡ ਬਟ ਐਟ ਲੀਸਟ ਇਟਸ ਜਸਟ ਅ ਲੀਵੇ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਜੇ ਇੱਕ ਆਪਸ਼ਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਸੈਕੰਡ ਆਪਸ਼ਨ ਸਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਓਪਨ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਐਂਡ ਆਈ ਥਿੰਕ ਰਿਕੁਆਇਰਮੈਂਟਸ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਨੇ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਿਕੁਆਇਰਮੈਂਟਸ ਕੀ ਨੇ ਯੂ ਕਾਂਟ ਗੋ ਅ ਸਟੈਪ
ਤੇ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਚਲੋ ਪ੍ਰਤੀ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਹਾਂ ਚਲੋ ਆ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਪਰ ਜੇ exactly the requirements na pata hoga then what is the whole point, you know? So that's what our job is today. Ki visa da jano mara 10 dena to the requirements ki
requirements can be complicated for you बहुत dry होगा ये material but it's really important for you so ध्यान ना सारे attention
no, I think they're all good. I think our audience is generally good, right? So let's just get into maybe the other two questions which are give us a visa here. Okay, let's talk about the visa now. जिन्ने भी कोई काम करना
जी
ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਇਹ ਸੋਚਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਕਿ ਮੇਰੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਕੂਪੇਸ਼ਨ ਉਹ ਹੈ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਲਿਸਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਤੇ ਸ਼ਾਰਟ ਟਰਮ ਲਿਸਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਮੀਡੀਅਮ ਤੋਂ ਲੌਂਗ ਟਰਮ ਲਿਸਟ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵੀਜ਼ੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਪਤਾ ਕਿ ਆ ਇਹ ਹਰ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਕੂਪੇਸ਼ਨ ਲਿਸਟ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੀ ਪੁੱਛੂਗਾ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਯਾਰ ਇਹ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਆਕੂਪੇਸ਼ਨ ਲਿਸਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਓਕੇ ਹੁਣ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕਿਹੇ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਦੱਸਾਂਗੇ ਬਿਕਾਜ਼ ਜਨਰਲ ਸਕਿੱਲ ਮਾਈਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਲਿਸਟ ਉਹ ਵੱਖਰੀ ਲਿਸਟ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਕਈ like I said we don't want to go into that list. This specific short term list ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਕੂਪੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੋਊਗੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਸਿਰਫ 2 ਸਾਲ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਮਿਲਣਾ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ 2 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਫਿਰ ਐਕਸਟੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਹੋ ਜਾਣੀ that's it. Okay, to give an example, let's say you're a tailor. Very few tailors are there. You are going to be on the short term list, for example. But employer tenu definitely sponsor ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਕੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀ ਰਿਕੁਆਇਰਮੈਂਟਸ ਉਹ ਨਾਲ ਦੱਸੀ ਜਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਪਰ ਆ ਏਰੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਕਨਸੀਡਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਕਿ ਯੂ ਆਰ ਓਨਲੀ ਗੋਇੰਗ ਟੂ ਗੈਟ ਅ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਫॉर 2 years. ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ whatever family everybody can come down ਬਾਲ ਬੱਚੇ everybody down here then you can extend for another 2 years and that's all. ਜੇ ਤੇਰੀ occupation medium to long term skills ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈ which we were talking off the camera that is going to be an interesting area. ਪਰ ਉਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਮਿਲ ਸਕਦਾ 4 ਸਾਲ ਦਾ ਹਨਾ ਪਰ ਐਟ ਲੀਸਟ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਤਾਂ ਹੋਊਗਾ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਇਸ ਲਿਸਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਤੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਮ ਸੇ ਕਮ 3 ਸਾਲ ਬਾਅਦ employer sponsored visa ਦੀ pathway PR ਨੂੰ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਗਾੜੀ ਕੁਛ ਨਾ ਕੁਛ ਮੇਰਾ ਪਾਸ sorry I know you're going to say something but this is going to be
no that's okay like you don't know what's going to happen but obviously you have pathways to
ਹਾਂਜੀ definitely
if you lead path your PR but if you go for the long term ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ certain ਇੱਕ road map ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਕਰਨਾ
you nailed it it's a road map literally at the same time ਪਰ ਉਸ road map ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਚੀਜ਼ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਵਰ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਲਈ you need 2 years of experience. You know, jithon a lot of issues happen. Issues, same thing. But je bande ko, when I say banda, I mean it's generic by the way, right? You know, someone was saying, hey, everyone, you know. So any person who doesn't have 2 years of experience, ਤਾਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਹਫਤੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਵਰ ਕੀਤੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ 407 ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਦੀ ਕਵਰ ਕੀਤੀ ਉਹ ਕਿਉਂ ਕੀਤੀ ਮਾੜਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਇੱਥੇ ਕਿ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਕੋਲ 2 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ ਉਹ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ 2 ਸਾਲ ਪੂਰੀ ਕਰਕੇ ਮੁੱਕ ਕੇ 482 ਦੀ ਮੁੱਕ ਕੇ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਸੋ ਜਸਟ ਰਿਮੈਂਬਰ 2 years of experience is mandatory ਹੈ ਨਾ ਸੋ you had some questions about 2 years experience.
Yes so like 2-year visa like ਇੱਕ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ ਬਟ ਉਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਕੀ ਰਿਕੁਆਇਰਮੈਂਟਸ ਨੇ ਲਾਈਕ ਉਹ ਬੰਦਾ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ 2 years ਆਪਣੇ like ਪੂਰਾ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ
ਹੁਣ ਫਰਜ਼ ਕਰ ਜਿਵੇਂ you know then there's different requirements at the same time. For example, if you shall we use a chef as an example right now? Okay, so chef the example here. Chef is on the medium to long term skills. On post qualifications 32 hours a week ਇਹਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ 2 ਸਾਲ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਹੋਣੀ ਪੈਣੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ 32 ਆਵਰਸ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਪਾਰਟ ਟਾਈਮ doesn't matter but 32 ਆਵਰਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਪੜ੍ਹਦਿਆਂ ਹੁੰਦਿਆਂ ਜਾਂ whatever the case is ਜੇ 2 ਸਾਲ ਪੂਰੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ then we have to demonstrate ਕਿ 2 ਸਾਲ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਹੈਗੀ then they meet the requirements for the employer to sponsor that's super important yeah because ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਲੋਕੀ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਹੁਣ whatever the case is again we're using chef as an example ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜੌਬ ਬੜੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਹੋ ਗਈ 14 15 ਮਹੀਨੇ 18 ਮਹੀਨੇ ਦਾ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਛੋਟੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਪੂਰੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ 407 ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਇਹ ਟੂ ਦਾ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਉਦੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ 2 ਸਾਲ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਹੈ yeah so just remember that so what shall we talk about we talk about कि one employer
जी क्योंकि ये 482 you are dependent on your employer applicant से employer या दोनों के अलग-अलग requirements
so ਉਹਨੂੰ employer ਦੇ 10 steps ਹੈ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਸਟੈਪ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ SBS standard business sponsorship employer ਨੂੰ ਕਮ ਸੇ ਕਮ at least 12 ਮਹੀਨੇ registration ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਆ they been operating ਕਿੰਨੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਰੱਖੇ ਆ they look at the outcome they look at the number of people they have ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ profit loss statement ਦੇਖਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ a lot of requirements goes through the company है कौन है you know are they in a position to sponsor this person later we're talking about company must be sound must be registered has to be able to meet the requirements from the department ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹ sponsorship approved ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ meaning that they can sponsor someone then it goes into the nomination genuine position is a nomination exactly you picked that up very well okay so that's good okay you want to ask me about nomination
so like what about genuine position
okay so nomination is really where the entire application rests because when तू ही सोच लो कि केहली तू ही काम करना whatever again we are just going to use chef throughout this example as an example only I'm not saying chef is the only job that you can apply but people relate to this a bit better so when we केहने पढ़ाई की थी या सब 3 4 कुकरी जो भी है तो उस तो बाद उन्होंने जितना केहली काम किया ते जिन्हें तेनों रखना जिन्हें तेनों नॉमिनेट करना they need to see कि कम से कम do they have had anybody else already in the position okay then this ties in very much with LMT which is labor market testing where okay you need to demonstrate that at least you've advertised for 30 days in 3 different disciplines and I've written it down so we need to make sure that it's seek you got to apply in career and job active so in that जगह ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਦੋਂ advertisement ਪਾਈ ਹੋਗੀ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਸਮਝ ਲਓ ਕਿ the department needs to know that you have exhausted all avenues to find a local employee ਜਿਹਨੂੰ genuineness ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਗੱਲ because they intertwine they relate to each other you are employing someone from overseas ਨਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿ chef ਇੰਨੇ ਲੋਕ ਨੇ ਇਥੋਂ ਦੇ ਸ਼ੈਫ ਜਿਹਨੇ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਕਰਕੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੰਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਹੁਣ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਮਤਲਬ
because they need to prove that you have a unique skill that you can't find
absolutely and that's how many unique chefs do we know at the same time right so but that's fine it's their requirement if you meet the requirements you're fine you just got to tick all the boxes ki haan tu kar rahe hain and you meet the requirements you don't have to worry about anything else then we also got to remember why does the employer really want you you know that's where you're going to demonstrate listen this person has been working with you for a while usually is the case usually you've been working for the employer for say 1.5 years the employer this person is very very good so this person is very very good I like this person I want to keep this person on you cannot get a better position than that and you're also going to make sure that there is no one else who can fit that role.
Because they know you.
Plus, you have done the labor market testing, not just because they know you. So this is the important thing. वो आपको कहेंगे मेरा फलाना लगता है doesn't matter
They
who
check
it
your
is.
skills, how
They
well
have
you
to
work.
check exactly. Now, we told you it's going to be very technical, and this is a technical part. So some of the things people are going to be asking us is, particular nomination vaste, what are the other things? So you need to remember there is a training levy that you would have to pay. Companies who are making more than 10 million per year, they have to pay $1,800 if they're making more than 10 per year. Times that for the duration of the visa that they're going to apply. Okay, just and you got my intention, which is good.
Yes.
You know, 10 million to Katia, which
Mhm.
let's talk about that first because there are not many people more than 10 million, for
Yes,
example.
exactly.
So less than 10 million, 1,002 times each year you're going to be on the visa. That's all the employer who's going to arrange all this. You're going to make that sure at the same time. Once that is sorted, a lot of checklists. We're going to go into the lease agreement of the company. We're going to go into the VAS of the company, the tax returns of the company. We're going to look at the organizational chart. We're going to look at the profit and loss. There is so many aspects. Position description. Well, why is this person important? What is the description of this person? Why do you need this person?
Yeah.
See the why part? This is the why part is very, very important. So we also got to make sure that the employer is able to pay them the minimum salary at the same time, 50,900. That's basic. They need to see ਇਹ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਹੀ ਹੁਣੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਕੇ ਹਟਿਆ ਕਿ ਸਟੈਂਡਰਡ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਕਿ company is sound, they are able, their finances are okay to be able to nominate someone because they have the capacity to pay this person. So now you can see how they all relate to each other.
Okay.
Go on, ask me about nomination at the same time.
So, like, I think it was, I don't know if everyone will be able to understand. I think we should just divide that for an example, right? Like, for them, the nomination criteria further.
Okay. So, like I said to you, we can go into details at the same time. So the nomination criteria basically rest on labor market testing. I'm going to talk about the same thing. Labor market testing is exactly that. Have you exhausted the existing labor market or Australia, anywhere you're working, you need to know that have you done your advertisements to see that you are going to get applications. People are going to apply. They are going to say, this and that. The department needs to see advertisements. The advertisements application per year. Once that is true, then your nomination is just going to move on to the next stage.
Yes.
Yes.
So what's are the other requirements like after recruitment?
Well, like I said to you, I've got a list down here. I'll tell you about it so that our audience also understands this. Right? Obviously, the business has to be registered. Business is registered. They have either APN or ACN, lease agreement of the company, profit and loss statements. I think I've already covered that at the same time. Organizational chart, where is this person in the organizational chart of the company at the same time? Position description. What is this person doing? So this is also equally important. I'm just thinking, how else can we give another example? Maybe we get some questions from them. I'm sure we're going to get questions from people. They are stuck in a different situation, and then we can answer in that perspective. How's that?
Yeah, but we don't have, I guess, many questions at the moment. So
okay.
We need to list the requirements first.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I've gone through them with you at the same time already.
Well, I think this was the requirements for the business, but what other requirements for the applicant?
Okay.
Besides
besides 2 years of experience, if they are nominated in a trade occupation, then if they have studied in Australia, then they really don't have to worry about the skill assessment part of it. Okay. General trade occupations in their so somebody who studied overseas, they've worked overseas, they will need to try to get a skills assessment at the same time in some occupations. But trade occupations, for this, I don't know, skills assessment in Lodi, skills which is required for this position. You know, then if it's a non-trade occupation, let's just say accountant, for example. Okay, very popular choice. A lot of people have studied accounting and they're working for someone and then they want to apply now. I have have to say this. Some occupations like accountants have caveats. Caveats में ये कहना है कि उन्होंने ये we can't go into that detail and that we can take you offline if we have some questions. तो जरूर हर हाल you can email us and we can tell them about how these caveats apply. You need to see the company size, what's the size of the company, what is the turnover of the company before they can be nominated in that occupation as an.
Yeah.
What is the salary of this person? How many people in this organization? Is it 5? Is it 6? Very, very important. Before they can say, "Ki haan ji, tu lagatar haan manya kam kar already whatever the case is."
Yes.
But if you don't meet the caveats for some occupations, then your nomination can't go through.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that is important at the same time. कि आपने जिन्ने भी audience है ना, उन्होंने अपन उन्हें ये नहीं पता कि किरे occupation. You know, trade occupation हम अपन सारे trade occupation में जा नहीं सकते.
But like, what are the most common trade occupations?
Well, currently, let's take. I can only take, for example, in Perth. For example, our market is in Perth. Chef the example of the Japan.
Yes.
On daily local wall and floor tilers, carpenters, motor mechanics. These are trades.
Yes.
These are fundamental trades who have definitely उन्होंने पढ़ाई की या पैसा टका लाया उन्होंने जो भी उन्होंने हो चुका है वो whilst on the 485 on their 485 temporary graduate visa ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲ 15-16 ਮਹੀਨੇ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਖਿੱਚ ਤੂ ਕੇ ਨਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਕੇ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ 2 ਸਾਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਨਾ ਭਾਈ 2 ਸਾਲ ਕੋਲ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਜਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਹਫਤੇ training visa ਤੇ ਜਾਓਗੇ to make the 2 years of experience then they are going to get the right point. Okay, for me to a live example in that there was an case just yesterday came to me. Maybe I can use I won't name the person, but he's a floor and a wall tiler and whatever, but fantastic person, but also equal boss. Contract now what do you think? Interesting question, right? Do you think the employer can sponsor him?
I'm sure.
This is a good question, isn't it?
Yes.
Because these are the real scenarios we are getting. Only the nature of the occupation he had, they just work for that one person.
Yeah.
And that's the relationship that they have. And he's been working with. So only 2 साल बढ़ाने के ना 2 साल मान लो कि वो 2 सालों के काम करता.
Yes.
पर 2 साल वो बनने के ना because उन्हें किया trade studies. उन्होंने मिला visa 485 temporary visa वो 18 महीने. ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਉਹਨੇ ਉਹਦੀ ਜੌਬ ਵਾਲੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਨੇ ਬਣ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਹੋ ਗਈ 2 ਸਾਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਨਾ ਪੂਰੇ ਹੋਏ 2 ਸਾਲ ਪੂਰੇ ਕਰਨ ਨੂੰ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਆਈਡੀਆ ਦੇਈ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਨਾ ਨਾਲ ਆਡੀਅנס ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗੀ ਜਾਊਗਾ ਨਾ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਤੇ ਜਾਓ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਖਿੱਚ ਲੁਕੇ 5-6 ਮਹੀਨੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਪੂਰੇ ਹੋ ਗਏ 32 hours a week post qualification 2 ਸਾਲ ਪੂਰੇ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਨਾ then this employer is going to sponsor then it comes down to why. How genuine is this position? और कोई बंदा नहीं रख सकता है हाँ मेरी एडवर्टाइजमेंट में की थी 10 जगह में की थी हाँ मेरी रिक्वायरमेंट्स है I cannot find anybody else who has been working with me.
But the thing is here कि जरा employer है he doesn't have that big organization. He's just accepting contract.
But his contracts are good enough for him to get the standard business sponsorship. गल खत्म. You know, कोई वादू का डोली मतलब उन्होंने अप्रूव कर दे so it's going to be quite serious at the same time.
Yes. So
do we finally get questions coming in?
Yes.
Fantastic. Anji.
So
we haven't gone to the visa yet.
Yes.
Shall we go to the visa and then go to the questions, or we can take that anytime? Very much. Who does?
So
no question today.
The question is by Sunil Presta, civil engineer 90 or 189. 95 for 190. I think she or he, sorry about that. Talking about the points for 189 and 190. Is it enough or do I need more?
It's not even completely related to the topic that you're talking about. Sunil will come back to your question later. You're talking about general skill migration.
Yes.
We will come back to that question again.
Yes.
Today's topic is about employer-sponsored visa or 82. जिथों तक आपको होया जाता है this अपनी audience don't mind. We want to just target as many questions as we can for employer-sponsored visa, and then Sunil, we have time if we have exhausted everything else. we'll come back to those
Yeah,
questions.
we are so sorry, but we'll try to.
Honey.
Guri Sodi, which one is good, 491 or 482?
491 is regional sponsorship. Now, Jason, if somebody is getting 491, then well and good, isn't it? 491 you got to be there. It's a temporary visa, 5 years visa, then 10 saal वहाँ से लगातार उस region के विच काम करना है. Okay, you got to live, you got to work in any occupation. 10 साल बाद ही तानू मुड़ के PR मिल सकता है. 482 is inside the same thing. मेरे हिसाब ना, just to answer his question, I think a 491 is better. You know, 482 employer sponsor the right
Yeah,
down
because you both are dependent on, like you're dependent on your employer. So 491.
491, you're dependent on yourself, and you work hard enough, be in an occupation, you'll get it. Simple as that.
Yes.
Hanji.
So here's another same question. Is like, should we wait for 491
Victoria?
Yes.
If you've applied, you're waiting, and you have got mental and physical stamina, then you wait. You wait for before your visa runs out for your respective 491 to come through.
Here's another question by Sunil. How many years of work experience in the company is required to apply for 482?
Yeah, so we talked about that. I think what he's trying to say is he can 482 employer sponsored visa application form. 2 years of experience.
Yes.
You need 2 years of experience.
Yes, but someone is just clarifying minimum 2 years for experience.
Exactly. Yes. That's so good that somebody has asked a question, somebody has read it and actually posed the question. Also answer at the same time.
So another question is by Zahid Ullah. Please talk about S48 and cafe manager.
Okay. Section 48. Section 48 bar are people who have no options but to apply for a visa offshore. Section 48 laga, and he's given an example that he wants to apply as a cafe manager. That's fine. But Section 48 is only, I don't want to go into detail, but those are people who have no choice but to launch a visa offshore. Okay? So they go offshore, they launch. If they are allowed to come back, pandemic well and good. But my advice is, visa is you stay also until the visa is granted and then you come back. Yes. Otherwise, you're going to get into a situation.
I think people are having issues in hearing our voice. I think it's audible now. If it's not still audible, please let us know.
Let's get this thing as high as possible.
Yeah.
Can they hear us now?
I think so. That's right.
Volume is very low. Okay, how do we increase this? This is live, by the way. We're trying to fix this thing, yeah?
Okay. Yes, sorry about that. So it misses when 482 visas are open.
Okay. 482 visas are not subjected to them being open or closed or anything, as per the question.
Yes.
They are open all the time.
Yes.
Do you meet the requirements for those 3 factors that we just talked about? Yeah.
Yeah. So another one is by Patel Dilip. What about offshore?
Yeah. Sorry. So I presume it's an offshore.
Yeah, when they will start to grant 491 visa.
Oh, they talk about 491 visa.
Yeah.
So if you're offshore, you've applied for those visas, then you just got to wait. You just got to wait for an approval.
Yes. Now Australia's borders are closed, so when we can
apply? We are going to get those kind of questions. You know that, right? Yeah. Just very quickly, 30 seconds we're going to spend on this. The borders are closed.
Yes.
Okay? They are going to be opening, I think, on the 14th or 16th.
But that are the state borders.
State borders. We need to specify that because people read that and they think the borders going to get.
Yes.
Okay? So international travel is still not open yet.
Yes, but you can apply for the offshore.
You can apply for an offshore visa. Nothing stopping you from that. When you get your visa, मान लो कि ਤੁਹਾਡਾ visa grant हो जाता, okay, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੀ visa ਪਾਇਆ, even 482 ਵੀ, whatever the case is, when 482 or 189 ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੀ visa ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਾਇਆ, if the visa is granted and the borders are still closed, until the visa validity is still there, once the borders are open, if you can apply for an exemption, then you come in on those grounds. Otherwise, you just have to wait. As simple as that.
Another one is by Julie. I'm working as in home care educator. Can I apply?
Home care educator. So that's probably her designation or her description. Or description होगा कि मतलब कि this is what she's.
Oh no, she has like clarified her question. If I got a private tutor assessment, am I eligible?
Then you apply as a tutor. So remember we talked about in the very beginning of my audience down here, short-term lease to long-term lease. If your occupation is, let's say, for example, on a short-term lease as a tutor, private tutor, I suspect that is your description, then you meet the requirements. Then you find out who is the person who's going to sponsor you, how they're going to sponsor you. We've already covered that. How you're still going to meet a genuine position. You're still going to meet the labor market test. You're going to meet all the same requirements to get a 2-year visa. That's it. So that's how you will go about it. Yeah.
So another one is by Vishu Singh. Sir, 485 visa file combined वाली चाहिए है या single? मैं ते मेरा बेटा इंडिया है और मेरी वाइफ पर्थ च है उन्हां दी टीआर जैन च पानी है. सर कितना टाइम लगता है डिपेंडेंट वीजा 485?
अच्छा ये 485 की दरकार. Okay. 485 is a temporary graduate visa from me, so then you also I'm bringing you to the picture at the same time.
That's all right.
So जिन्होंने इथे पढ़ाई की थी होगी, if they are already included in the main applicant's visa.
Yes.
But करो कि हम student visa ये हम family है. You know student visa जिन्हों को हैगा ना, they already added onto the student visa, but they happen to be offshore. Okay.
Yes.
ते उन्होंने ये पूछ रहे हैं कि subsequent entry to be added onto someone's 485. On 485 you can only lodge onshore.
Yes.
पर उन्होंने exemption भी देते हैं कि जितना को visa लग गया ना, तो वही 500 student visa जिनको लग गया, but they happen to be offshore.
Yes.
For example, in January, February, they happen to be there and they are unable to come back. Only exemption that they you can still lodge 485. That's not a problem. For subsequent entry, if they are already on a student visa, then there's no problems.
Yeah.
Then they just get added and then they wait for the fund. And I've had a few who have been approved. Say, 485 he's added his wife. Visa but they cannot come through until the borders are open.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So yes, you can add. Okay. Wow, we're getting into a 485 territory at the same time. It's okay.
The next one is by Jibraj Pal. Hello, sir. I'm stuck in India. I'm on 485 visa holder. My visa expires next year. What can I do if my visa is expired?
Okay, if you're on 485, is very unfortunately there are whole options in Milna. If you cannot get any other options to apply for a PR options from a 485, you just happen to have a 4, and the 485 is just going to run out. But because you're offshore, that is as good as you just run the thing out. You are unable to come back.
Yes.
That's just very unfortunate situation because unless this person has been an invited, he managed to get any other visa, then that's fine. Then he can make a case for that. Then he can apply, wait for that grant of that PR, and then basically see that out. But his 485 is just going to see that out. He's got time. Maximum on his so let's see what happens.
Yeah, because your visa expires next year. We are not sure if it expires.
When.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's the problem.
Exactly. That's good that we're reading it from here instead of from there. It's even better.
Next one is by Jovan.
Okay.
Hi, after advertisement, for how long we need to apply for nomination?
Perfect. Finally, we got a brilliant question, right? Like we said, 3 medium of application to prove that you advertisement pahiya. Like we just mentioned, and like I mentioned again, career 1, C, and job active. After that, 30 days is not a bad time to have advertised exactly 30 days. Don't do 29 days, don't do anything else, 30 days. And have a 10 days cooling off period, just in case. Then you are applying for your nomination.
40.
Yeah. But 30 days is alright.
Yeah.
But if you want more than a month, that's fine.
Yeah, but does that include Saturday and Sunday?
30 days is 30 days. Yeah. Because people respond to advertisements on the weekends as well, right? Okay. That's okay. That's all right.
Next one is by Vivek Sharma. Paji, Sat Shri Akal.
Sat Shri Akal to you too, Vivek.
Need to find out best visa for family. I'm cooking in India with 15 years.
15 years of experience. ਭੁੱਖ ਲੱਗ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ 12 ਵੱਜ ਗਏ ਆ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਬੈਠਾ 15 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਸੋਚਦਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਆ ਸਕਦਾ right perfect right we get the example trade occupation overseas needs a skills assessment first and foremost okay so skills assessment ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਹੁਣ ਜੇ ਮੰਨ ਲਓ ਕਿ skills assessment ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਹੈਗਾ employer ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਲੱਭਣਾ ਪਊਗਾ ਹੁਣ employer ਇਹਨਾਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਆਹ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਪੁੱਛਦਾ ਨਾ ਵਿਵੇਕ ਵਰਗਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਕੁਛ ਨਾ ਕੁਛ ਮਤਲਬ they make preparations to have an employer they'll find an employer so, then we already know कि employer approve होगा nomination अपन कितनी बार कर चुके हैं get a skills assessment first okay if you don't know how to do that if you're stuck with that you do offshore we will get in touch no problems I'll tell you how to go about it.
Yeah, because there's another question is like total supposed to do. Yeah, he's just like trying to. Yes. Thank you, Priyanka.
Priyanka, such a lovely word. Dhaminda is one of the best agents. I'm not supposed to say that, but you said it. But thank you very much. Okay.
Next one is by Chetan. I'm architect living in ACT, working currently as an architect. What are the chances of getting 491? I have completed 13.
Wow. Okay. Just before I answer Chetan's question, Vivek, your corresponding question is the cost involved and all that. I won't be doing that over the Facebook Live right now. Email me. You will have my details. I'll break it down for you. What, where, and how, cost, documents, and whatever that you need for that is better to go into that section. Okay. So not a problem for that. Not that I missed your question. Coming back to Chetan. Architect living in Canberra right now. Okay, what are the chances of getting 491? So Canberra updates their list, which we're talking about earlier on, which is not 482 list. They have their own list. So let's look. They have a critical list.
Yeah.
You know, subclass critical way. The critical list. Which firstly, see occupation is on the critical list, and if you are, then let's check ACT Canberra. The matrix can they on a matrix which specifically key requirements here, and then once you meet that, whether it's 13 weeks or not, I think this is 3 months or 6 months. I can't confirm. Happy to confirm that offline. Email me. I'll take that further. Okay.
When will 491 open?
Okay. It's interesting, isn't it? You are also having a look at it. Basically, a lot of questions on 491.
Yeah.
Because 491 is also a temporary.
I think we need. Yeah.
So 491. We can probably, talk about that maybe in the next session. I'm happy to talk about that.
Yeah.
But right now, just very briefly, 491 has got two streams.
Yes.
Ek the family sponsor, ek the regional state sponsor. Only different requirements, how you meet that, what occupations on the list, where have you studied, points based. Okay, it's points based. Once you get that, they move on EOI, expression of interest. Expression of interest in now, what happen, when are they going to invite you? Which is why all these questions are if you're offshore, then koi problem, koi tension because you just wait, you carry on doing what you're doing. Because the invitation now, boring stuff, whatever airlines, but I say, you know what I'm saying? How do I get through? Because whatever visa chances are majority of them are on 485. Another prime EU expression of interest by 491 invitation. That's what's happening now. That I cannot even predict as much as I want to predict when is that going to happen. See, if I did, oh my god, I'll be a rich man. Yeah.
Next one is by Jeet Man. Hello, what about early childhood teachers job day if a person has 5 years experience in India?
Okay, skills assessment. You got to get the skills assessment done. Some of these occupations, if they wanted to get PR pathway, some of these occupations are available in a regional area called, well, that's going to go into another area that's going to confuse a lot of people. Designated area migration agreement. Occupation occupation on the list which is for a childcare teacher and whatnot. But only skills assessment, definitely. But they are not on the. They have given exemption, but they're not on the long-term list. They are on the short-term list. But because they fall under a designated area, meaning, and for the audience at the same time, if you can't find anybody in Perth, for example, then if you wanted to go to Kalgoorlie, that's a regional area, where you need to find an employer from there who's willing to employ you, and then it goes through a labor agreement, and it's a little bit bakra chakara, so we don't want to touch on that right now. More than happy to give you information about that. Email me. I'm more than happy. We just 1 month ago we were just in Kalgoorlie, and we understand that very, very well what the requirements.
The next one is how much time it will take for processing of 482.
Okay, good question, right? 482 visa, there are standard business sponsorship, nomination to visa. You can put that all literally in the same day, 1 minute apart from each other. Then you have met the requirements. You can't put a nomination without the SBS. You can't put a visa without the nomination. So they all have to follow one step of the number one. Some people standard business, standard business sponsorship. Employer the nomination approval and then. ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਉਹ nomination ਵੇਖਦੇ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੀ nomination approve ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ. And then ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹ nomination approve ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ, you have 6 months to launch the visa. If you don't want to launch the visa in the first place. But generally speaking, to come back to that, I'd like to give a little bit of background information. No, I do. For that, it can take anything from 1 day for approval, and it has happened before, to 6 months. Okay, generally speaking, 2 to 3, 4 months, you should be getting an approval.
But what are the maximum?
Oh, I don't even want to quote. I had a guy who was a butcher. He was from another country. His application went for 1.5 years. But that was sad because it was a different situation. He worked and lived in a country that was involved in something else, and then they had to do ACO, special security checks, background information on the military. That's very long.
Yeah, I think you need to take care of your
correct,
file.
Correct.
Process time.
Correct.
It's different for different people.
Yep.
Next one is by Cesaro. Any possibility for accountant to get an invitation under 491 family sponsored?
Wow. It's very sad because I got a lot of clients who are in the similar situations. When accountants know they are not inviting on the 189 because they are not on the critical list of occupations at this moment. I think last round they were 30 applications nomination worldwide worldwide. Accountants, engineers, IT, none of them are being invited right now because. And for example, even though if you were to be invited, if you got 100 points, you're not even being invited. That's how competitive. So for 491, if you don't already even have 95 to 100 points, you can forget about being invited for 491. When I say forget about, it's now. I'm not saying completely forget about it at all. First job up. Andy.
Next one is by Rajesh. Does overseas experience needs to be assessed by ACS for computer and network systems before launching the visa, or just by providing a proof of work documents during lodgement of the visa?
Your proof of work is important. ACS can very discretionary, okay, whether a skills assessment is required in that case, but most of the time no. But proof of work, where you work, where, how, taxes, salary slips, reference letters, to show how experience idea, then you're fine.
That's it. So it's by Mrs. She's continuing her question. According to the visa, when the employee can get his wife.
According to this visa, meaning is that the same question that she asked?
I think she talked about the when we have this visa. She's talking about 482.
Okay, so let's go back to that. I just want to be specific. according to this visa, which is a 482 visa, when the employee and get his wife and children. When someone applies for the nomination, it is the main applicant. He has met the requirements.
Yes.
Visa part of it, which we haven't covered, which is what this person is asking. Visa part is standard. Who you are, where you are, what you have, your qualifications, and everything else. Your children and your wife are added to your visa, and that has to be extended to employer. Employer will go कि हाँ मैं तेनू रखना. I'm extending the employer's sponsorship obligations to your family and child at the same time. So they can be included. उन कई employer आपको कहेगा कि ना, I just want to nominate you and I don't even want to keep you. I don't want to add your family to that. They are entitled to do that. If they want to add, then that's fine. Then you meet the whatever requirements are, which is pretty standard. Nothing complex. But yes, to answer your question, you can add your family and kids. Hey, I've even done applications where the person has added his dog into the whole arrangement, and they come down here. That's part of the agreement. Of course, that's a different requirement altogether, but that's perks and benefits. Let's not talk about that.
So that's next one is for Irfan. I have 90 points for 189 and 95 for 190 New South Wales in ICT Business Analyst. What are the chances of an invite till next year, December? That's when my TR expires, December 2021. I'm working in my field as well. Should I continue the job or move it?
Continuing your job is not a 482 question, but I'll answer it anyway. Continuing your job, there's nothing more that you can do. If you are continuing, firstly, you're getting extra points to update onto your particular visa. Number two, you are also trying to get enough work experience to eventually, 482 the application for me, Q&A, and I'm going to ask you, what do they need?
2 years.
2 years, exactly. On 2 years, if you cannot get 2 years, then if you are in a position before your visa runs up, you get as close as possible to the 2 years. 2 years ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਦੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਣਦੇ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਪਾਓ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ requirements are almost similar to what we just discussed for the 482 nominator होना चाहिए standard business sponsorship होनी चाहिए nomination to do training plan to do थोड़ी जी गल है but generally speaking 407 is the sister visa to the 482 just remember that okay.
Next one is for just Farad.
Okay.
Hi, my wife had 5 years experience in bachelor in chemical engineer, in computer network and system engineer, but ACS gave positive skill assessment but can't claim points. She's currently working in Australia from the last 16 months, and the employer is happy to apply for A2. Can we apply for A2 for A5? We have 6 months. I think they're on 485 at the moment.
I think they're on 485 at the moment. I think what he said is कि ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ skills assessment ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ ACS especially ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ assessment ਉਹਦੀ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤੀ but they have not what they call the deemed the experience they said ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਖਰੀ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਤੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ 5 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ experience ਹੈ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿਰ ਤੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ 1.5 years ਦੇ ਨੇ something like that has happened in this particular case so ਉਹ ਸੋਚਣੇ ਪੈ ਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਹੁਣ ਮੈਂ can I apply for that? You still need to show that you have 2 years of experience.
Yeah, I think he's saying
she's currently working
from the last 16 months. So, I think it's not 2 years.
No, if you don't have 2 years, sorry, I just want to get just ਜੇ ਤੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ 2 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ ਨਾ ਜੇ 16 ਮਹੀਨੇ ਆ ਤੇਰਾ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਮੁੱਕਣ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤੇ ਪੁੱਛ ਕਰੋ ਤੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਉਹ 21 22 ਮਹੀਨੇ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਇੱਕ ਜੇ for example ਇੱਕ ਮਹੀਨਾ ਰਹਿ ਗਿਆ then we can play in such a way that you apply just before the decision is made ਤੇਰੇ ਕੋ at the time of decision ਜਦੋਂ ਤੇਰੇ ਕੋ 2 ਸਾਲ ਪੂਰੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਗੇ then you kind of met the requirements isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's she will be short by 2 months because it's 16
correct
and they still have visa for 6
months left 6 more months left again then that's fine
yeah it's just
2 months
yeah
just email me. That's an interesting question, and we can work around scenarios for you. It's a good occupation to have, and yeah.
Next one is for Ruby. How can you get 482 as an accountant?
Very easy. you apply. Okay, sorry, but you know what I'm trying to say. Accountant have caveats. Okay, how big is the firm? How much of experience do you have, Ruby? They basically, you know, if you study down here, then that's well and good. Then you don't have to worry. 2 years of experience, mandatory. 2 years of experience, mandatory. 2 years of experience, mandatory. People need to really get that into them. That's how you apply. Yeah.
Next one is by Irfan.
Irfan, coffee question पूछे हो.
Yeah, he's just like making it easy.
Okay.
Just to add to my comment, I'm working part-time because of COVID-19 for it to require full-time 2 years experience.
Correct. Full-time 2 years experience counts from post qualifications. 32 hours a week is what they count. So if you're working part-time, but you're working 32 hours a week, that counts.
Yeah, it's just the hours.
Exactly, it's the hours that matters now. कई लोगों को contract नवनीत ऐसे दिता जाता है कि you are not a permanent employee, but you are permanent casual, whatever they can call it. But casual enough, if you're working 32 hours a week, 35 hours a week, I don't care. Brilliant. Department doesn't care. Okay? I mean, the department does care if you have 32 hours. That's okay.
The next one is Baljeet. Which trade course is best for PR in South Australia, cookery or automotive?
Okay. Oh, they're both good. Baljeet, they're both good. Galea, see, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੀ ਬੰਦਾ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਣੇ ਬਲਜੀਤ ਨੇ ਹੁਣ ਆਹ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਾਂ ਬਲਜੀਤ ਨੂੰ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿ ਬਲਜੀਤ ਸਮਝਦਾ ਨਾ ਬਲਜੀਤ ਮੇਰਾ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਤੂੰ ਕਰ ਲਈ 2 ਸਾਲ ਤੇਰੀ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਤੂੰ ਹੁਣ ਉਹ ਸਟੇਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਤੂੰ ਉਹ ਵੇਖਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਸਟੇਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਹੂਲਤਾਂ ਕਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਚਲੋ ਮਿਲੀ ਜਾਣ ਹੁਣ WA ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਪੜੂਗਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ graduate occupation which has been suspended since August 21st. Oh, none of us can control. Key occupation traits they khas karke were on the list. One chef was on the list. One jade evidence baki jade jida to keh rahe ke automotive, carpentry, jo bhi hai, they are not on the list on the trade occupation. When the list is going to open, that's another. You are in South Australia. On South Australia which their requirements are a little bit different from here. They don't go on this list business. If you're working in a regional area and if you're working after your qualifications, then if you meet the requirements, there are points test here, how much did you get on your PT, there was 6 each there were employment experience. That is all going to be dependent on trying to meet South Australia's requirements. You know, that's a little bit too far for me to comment right now, but again, happy to comment on that.
So next one is Lena. How much time it will take for 186 visa and how long it will take a case officer assigned?
So I think if I understand this question, she has already put a 186 visa. Okay, she is probably asking, okay, when will a case officer be assigned? We don't know. Lena, do me a favor. Go into whether your agent or whoever else it is, application in the EMI website. They have their standard processing time. It's 4 to 6 months. That seems to be changing every time. You know, because that's from personal experience. But the EMI website, they have what is called general standard processing time, which a lot of clients ask us, why is it taking so long? I said, if you pass beyond the 2 to 4 months, and if you are 6 months ready and haven't been assigned, let alone approved, assigned should be almost assigned. 1 2 months is assigned. You do your medicals, approval, if it's beyond the standard processing time, then you can write to the global feedback and say, hello, Department of Immigration, what's going on with your processing time?
Yeah.
Politely, of course, please approve mine. Okay? Depending on your situation. Andy.
Next one is by Jaspreet Singh, telecommunications, network planner with full-time job, 75 points in Queensland. What are the chances
now everything is pretty much on hold. They have different quotas. October 6th को जो budget जरा जिन्हें मतलब पड़ी होगी उन्होंने खुद पता लग गया ना कि general skill migration has now not the flavor of the month anymore. Okay, so I can tell you something now, just but you really got to watch कि तेरा visa ना मौके थे visa मौके तो पहला उन्होंने जो भी policies है ये इनका जो आप तो थे you can read through that at the same time. It's not for me to tell you कि हाँ in a time जो हो जाना. Don't rely on anybody to say that to you. जे तेरा visa मौके find an opportunity to get into another stream. If you are working, find an opportunity to go and get 2 years of experience. And if you cannot find jobs, then it's very unfortunate. You just got to find another visa to stick around. Okay.
Yash Modi, hey, I'm doing diploma in community services. It said we can file directly here, but what's the very first?
Yash, email me. That's the criteria he's asking me is a little bit more involved. Email me. It's a very good process to go through, and they have made it a little bit more easier. When I say easier, but there's a process. I'm more than happy to give you that process. Email me, Yash. No problems.
Lena Arora. So she's helping.
Oh, she is helping us. Okay.
Yes, she's certified.
Okay.
I'm an analyst programmer on 482 visa, but now applied for 186 visa.
I was right. Yeah?
With the same employer. So what do you suggest? How much time it will take to complete the process?
Well, if she's already applied for 186, a question, Lina, your question is when is a case officer going to be assigned? When you've applied, firstly, you already got a reading visa or whatever the case is while you're still working. Because you are still on a 480, right? Until they assign, until they start questioning and asking you, the approval can be 3 to 6 months. They can approve that. It's not a problem. But just you are in a 186, you are in a very good spot. Get in touch with the person. Case officers love you when you've already been applied for a 186 and ask them, key main processing time, I want to plan, I want to do this. Let them know they're pretty cool. They're not going to bite you.
Yeah, next one is the Rajbir. Good work, team.
Whoa, Rajbir, balle, thank you for the hits up. Keep the faith. I already told you before this thing that every time Ravi, हम आपा बैठे हैं बिना कर script idea, की here and there, live, this and that, what's in the gear. End of the day, it's real. Everybody has got a real issue. In many situations, I heard from someone. We can try to answer as many of those scenarios, but the reality is, policies we don't control, timelines we don't control. Time COVID da karke, anything anyone can predict goes out of the way. Because no one can say, don't worry, you are on this visa to come Korea, you are probably going to get an invitation. I'm so scared live to tell someone that. You know, we get the wrong advice. That's not our job. You know what I'm trying to say, Rohit? Yeah. I hope the audience understands at the same time.
Yeah, Lena Rora. Yeah, good work, team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Babaji, welcome. I like that. Thank you, Lena.
So Yash Modi. What's the email? Please
mention here. I think Yash, if you scroll through, I'm sure you can see. I think one of my colleagues, Anna, would have already given you the email address at the same time. So let's just see how you go on that.
So yeah, I'm not sure if you need your email or yeah.
Yeah, I think Anna did provide my email address at the same time. So let's just see how it goes.
Next one is by Ruby. Can you work for 2 years for one employer, then get sponsored by another employer? Also, is there a possibility for full 9 months? Family sponsored for account.
Okay, Ruby, good question. So if you are working for 2 years, Ruby, I'm presuming I'm speaking Punjabi and English to Ruby at the same time. You got to work for the same employer, okay, for 3 years before that employer can sponsor you. Okay? That's very important. So whilst working, sometimes things happen, situations happen. Okay, they stop business. Something's happened, but you still have the visa. But because that employer is not in the position to sponsor you, you got to find another employer, another sponsor, and then your time starts all over.
All right.
That's what's happening. Or if you are in a position to apply for your 491, if your 491 application power.
Yes.
But 482 da karke, you got to be with the same employer. Okay, very important.
Next is Raheel. I'm on 485 visa expiring soon. If I want to apply a student visa, I will get bridging visa. Can I put application for 482 visa on bridging, or I have to wait for the CT?
You can put a 482 application as long as you have got 2 years of experience. You've met all the requirements. You are on a bridging visa. Not really an issue because what's the question here? 485 is expiring now. Okay. 485 is expiring. That means 485 hasn't expired. Okay. And apply for a student visa. Okay. I see what this person is saying.
I think
it's
expiring really soon. That's why he's talking about it.
So you need to have a substantive visa. So you need to actually hold a visa first before you can actually even apply. So you need to be very, very careful that you don't let your 485 completely expire before you apply. All right?
The gender Paul saying I had student visa refusal. Can I apply for visa?
Student visa refusal on way. Without letting the whole world know that you had a student visa refusal, but that's fine. Reason ki kyun refusal, kya wajah refusal milya, did he get a section 48 bar? We'll be talking about refusal aage ke tenu koi visa nahi pa sakte, you are banned from applying any other visa onshore.
Yes.
You can apply offshore.
Yeah.
Offshore banda kitna jaoga. This person could have been refusal karke unno opportunity diti jaangi कि you go and apply for ki ande AAT.
Yeah.
Tribunal de jitne mulk puri wait kar rahe hain, you are already section 48 bar. So you got to be very careful of those kind of things, whether you can apply. While on AAT, वो काम कर रहे हैं, 2 साल पूरे कर रहे हैं, 2 साल मेरे पूरे हैं, देखो मैं application करूँगा, को section 48 पर, फिर offshore जाना पड़ेगा, offshore जाके, ध्यान ना सुन लो, जे तुम्हीं section 48 बार ये चक्कर जितने हैगी है कि तानु offshore जाना पड़ेगा, offshore तुम्हीं चल गए, तुम्हीं launch कर सकते हैं visa because you can only launch offshore, तुम्हीं ये ना सोचो कि हम मैं चलो offshore बार because you are going offshore on a bridging visa, we चल गए offshore and वापस भी आ गए, while the situation pandemic के तनो वापस पहुंच जाता, तो जे ताड़ा तू ये ना तो कि मैं इतने होंदिया ही मैंने approval हो गया, don't ever make that mistake, you actually have to be offshore for them to grant the visa, बड़े लोग फंसे हैं तो रमीर, उन्होंने ये नहीं पता ही जहाँ कोई agent ने नहीं दसिया जब पता नहीं कितने गए होने, section 48. You are offshore, you have to go offshore to launch, you have to be offshore for the ground.
Yeah, but yeah, just be careful.
Just be careful.
Once you go offshore, I think the processing time.
Exactly. I know you're being careful about that at the same time.
Yeah.
Hanji, we got Gurjeet.
Yes, but about chefs in Perth, 190 visa.
Very easy question, Gurjeet. 190 to 491 Perth, which is already break lagi pai.
But he has got another question.
Okay, he's got another question.
Yes, my 485 visa is going to expire in December. I've already applied EOI 190, but visa should I go after 485?
Fine. Okay, so perfect situation for somebody like him. He's a chef. पढ़ाई इथे की थी वीजा वाला मुक रहा है 482 ਦੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹਾਂ ਕੀ ਨਹੀਂਗਾ ਕਿਦਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ whatever the case is ਤੇ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਹਫਤੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਸੀ ਕਿ 407 ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ
ਯੈਸ
ਉਹਨੂੰ ਹਰ ਹਾਲ 2 ਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਠੀਕ ਨਹੀਂ 2 ਸਾਲ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਨੂੰ ਦਸੰਬਰ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਜਿੱਤੇ ਵੀ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜੌਬ ਰੈਡੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ की ਦਿੱਤੀ ਹੋਗੀ ਕੰਮ ਕਿਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਿਹਾ ਨਾ so then he needs to show ਕਿ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਮੈਂ 407 pound before December, because you know Christmas present are gonna take. Okay, yes. So then that's a good Christmas present for you, or New Year's or whatever the case is. Then 407 secure करते से 4-5-6 महीने ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੂਰੇ ਕਰਨੇ ਉਹ 407 ਦੇ ਹੁੰਦਿਆਂ ਕਰਕੇ then you jump on a 4.
So take it from 85.
ਹਾਂਜੀ
Yeah.
जिन्हें मर्जी तेरे को यार point हो sorry just to say that to you, don't get me wrong, not being silly about this. Oh, programming 190 to 491 at the moment is suspended. जिन्होंने तो क्या तुम खुद जाके WA state migration list which नहीं अपना उन्होंने website है देखो उन्होंने बड़े साफ मोटे अक्षरों में लिखा है कि updates will be provided when the program is going to be started. मैं खुद तरफ ला के उन्होंने थक गया समझना. Okay, so I call the department, sorry, the state migration team. खुद मैं उन्हें पूछा मैं हम एक कबूल खोलूँ. तो वो हंस रहे थे. उन्होंने she knows me now. She goes, oh, you ask me this question every week. मैं listen. और मैं तेरे एक बंदा तेरे तरफ ला रहा. I have 50 clients. Do you have 50 clients calling you or one person calling? वो हंस रहे थे. On behalf. So basically, it's on hold. It's suspended. Just wait. Okay.
So Jinderpal, I applied in January and I'm offshore. Can I apply?
I applied.
Yeah, he's the one.
482. Okay.
Yes.
I applied in January and I'm offshore. Yeah. If he's applied for 482, is what he's saying. It's about the 482 the application per year. If you've applied 482 and you're offshore, then you wait for the grant.
Yeah.
Which is very strange. It's taking very long.
Yes. If you have further questions, please ensure to email him.
Anji.
Question.
I like how the screen just changes down here. It's cool. What can I get? Hey, Lena, kiss.
Oh,
okay.
good. Lena, sir, why I'm worried for my 186 visa because my husband is stuck in India and my daughter and they cannot travel on 482 visa. That's why I'm a little worried about how long it will take starting to them to Australia. My daughter is missing me. Anyway, to speed up the process, to let me know the way.
We feel for Lena, right? Lena, we feel for you. This situation, you can actually write to the department, tell them your situation, explain to them because you have already launched a one. The department will tell you what exemptions they can make for you guys, how they can speed these things up. Because at the moment, applying for exemptions, there's thousands of applications in the pipeline for people applying for exemptions for various reasons.
Yeah.
You know, so you unfortunately got to join the queue, write to them, tell them this is what's happening for them. There is no, you got nothing to lose. Write to them. Beautiful, sit down, have a nice cup of tea on a Sunday, whatever. Write a really good email to them, and you'd be surprised what reply you get. Don't be afraid of that. And if you're really not sure, show me a copy of your email. I'll draft it for you. How's that? Because she misses her daughter, I'll do that for her.
Yeah.
Chaga? Okay.
Harpreet Kanwar. Hello, sir. I've completed accounting in July and now have applied for 485 and right now I'm on bridging visa. So my question is that what size of company I need to get 2 years of experience so later on I can apply for 482.
Size of the company doesn't really matter. The company needs to be very sound, operational for 12 months, profit and loss statements on the Hogi is registered, it has got enough people, and whatever position that you are applying for, let's say you're applying as an engineer. How many engineers do they have? Why do they need you to add on to the engineer at the same time? All of these things matter. That's the example we just gave you. That's not about floor and wall tiler. Okay? Actually, wall and floor tiler, but I've just changed it to floor and wall tiler, right? Depending on which way you think about it. One person working for one guy, one boss. He can get an approval. In fact, I'm actually doing his approval very soon. And let's just see what happens. And if he gets approved, then it's not the size of the company. It is about just you demonstrating and meeting the needs. Okay?
Devyani, hello. I'm going to refuse for cook. What options for me?
Okay. Refused for cook. So that means she's on a 482. She is already on a 482. Yes. All right. That's a strange question. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Devyani, if I understand you right, you are on a 482, but
refuse for cook.
So if you're on 42, I just don't quite understand your question. Again, we're just going through the list of questions. Rameen is actually literally scrolling through. You got my email address. If you want that question answered in a little bit more detail, happy to find my email address somewhere in there. I think we've mentioned my email address. Email me. I'll let you know what the options are.
Lovely thing. Hi, I am doing Master of Health Administration in Leadership. Nearly about to finish. What is future options for permanent residence?
Okay. Navdeep Vira, or could be Navdeep saying something to take the husband's, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Same.
same. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, okay, Navdeep, what are you studying? Unfortunately, okay, list which nahi hai occupation. ਤੈਨੂੰ ਜਿੰਨੀ ਵੀ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਹੋਗਾ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਵੀ ਆ you are already in that situation. ਜੇਕਰ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਮੁੱਕਣ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤੇਰਾ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਮੁੱਕ ਰਿਹਾ ਔਰ ਇਹ ਤੂੰ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਤੇ ਮਿਲਣਾ ਹੀ ਮਿਲਣਾ ਓਕੇ ਉਹ ਤੈਨੂੰ 2 ਸਾਲ ਦਾ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਣਾ 1 year extension ਉਹ ਵੀ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਣੀ ਤੇ ਤੈਨੂੰ 3 ਸਾਲ ਮਿਲਣਾ ਹੀ ਮਿਲਣਾ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ 3 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੇਕਰ ਤੂੰ ਓਵਰਸੀਜ਼ ਕੋਈ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਕੀਤੀ I don't know what your overseas qualification. Maybe you have nursing, for example, which ਕੀਤੀ ਹੋਗੀ because ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਦ ਤੂੰ 1 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ conversion program ਕਰ while on 485 you can study. That's not a problem. ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ at least skill assessment ਜੋਗੇ ਬਣਦੇ ਸੀ whereby then you can start working out options ਦੀ ਪੁੱਛ ਰਿਹਾ ਨਾ options ਇੱਥੋਂ ਹੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਹੁਣ ਤੇ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਦੀ ਮੁੱਕ ਚਲੀ ਹੈ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਵੀ ਮੁੱਕ ਚਲਿਆ 485 temporary visa ਤੇ ਪਾਓਗੇ ਉਹ ਗੱਲ ਬਣੂਗੀ and then you work out options for it ਕਿਹੜੀ occupation list ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਹੜੀ state ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਊਗਾ this that nobody can control safe to say 6 months to 8 months a lot of things are going to change for the better. Let's hope, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Great. Please explain about 186 DE and TRT visa. If we have already 3 years experience, 2 years before, 482 and 1 year after 482.
Okay. So if you've worked 3 years with that employer, TRT is straight. Go into that. Shouldn't be a problem. Don't get confused with anything else. If you have worked with that employer, then you should be literally following that path. All right. I don't want to confuse you with any other manner. Again, I say this, but I mean it. Email me and I'll give you the pathway exactly. I'm not asking you to email me for any other reason. I want to make sure that you get the correct pathway to lead on to your TRT 186 for you. Okay.
Next one is the Rupali. I'm on 95 points and I have applied for 189 visa and 100 points for subclass 190. Is there any chance to get 189 visa? I'm staying in Melbourne from last year.
This GSM questions, right? Okay. You are in Melbourne. I can't comment on that. Purely not because you're in Melbourne. Okay. GSM is taking a backseat. If you are on a visa, or visa is running out, and you're not being invited because you're not in an occupation in critical list. For example, you're not a nurse, you're not a laboratory scientist working in a lab. All of these pandemic visas that are geared towards getting an invitation. Then depending on what kind of stamina you have, meaning not physical personal stamina, but the visa that you have, then you just gotta wait. Then that's one of the most unfortunate things that you can do. Okay?
Oh, so it's just Devyani's clarification. Hello, I was in 457 for cook.
Cool.
After 2 years, I applied for 482 for cook and refused. Now I want more options. I think she's refused for 482, and she was on.
Oh, sorry. She was on a 457, and very strange. If you're for 457 and 482, firstly, is the same visa.
Yeah.
It's if you are just moving from one visa class to another visa class, but it's essentially the same visa. Okay, sorry, 457 and 482. You would have just been in transition, and I don't know why you were refused. It'd be good to know, okay, well, refusal key, they would have refused and they've given a reason for that.
Yeah.
You know, you want someone to look into the refusal and tell you why you refused. Happy to do that. In fact, I'm curious now why you got refused.
Jatin Gautam.
Whoa, it's got a long email. Okay.
Hi, I'm Jatin from India. I got 476 visa, but due to border restrictions, not able to enter in Australia. My 12 Feb 2020. My IED is 12 Feb 2021. My qualifications: electrical engineering, 3-year work experience in my field, 7 each. What should I do? Just wait and mail them home affairs? Because they denied for extending my IED and said still able to enter Australia, visa is valid, but no mention my visa validity date. I never visited Australia.
Okay, 476, he would have studied engineering, temporary visa milya hoga. He, for whatever reasons, because now he can't travel, but visa is granted. Situation basically here. Now, we've already said before, until the border restrictions are lifted, you are able to come in while you still have a visa. Now, in your situation, because you are unable to travel and you don't know whether it's going to be 9 months, 12, 14 months before, there are 476 direct grant where is going to be running out. You need to write to them and say, I like to come in. But when you come in, your time when you are here actually starts afresh, because that 476 is really meant to be an onshore start, right? So what does he say? He's written because you like to extend my arm, okay, and still say to enter Australia if your visa is valid. So exactly. So you see, the department में बड़े गंदे हैं. उन्होंने visa grant दे देता पर वो extension क्यों निकाल basically.
Yeah.
You know, so that's basically what's happening.
And he doesn't even know the validity, like how long.
Visa is usually valid. When this grant is written down there is valid. Do not make first entry by such a account. You know, so I've asked this so many times. Feel free to email us, and we'll tell you what's happening.
Yeah, I guess that should be equal today.
Okay. Wow. So we have covered. What time did we start talking?
It's been more than an hour.
It's been more than an hour.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Just while we are going through, okay, we need to be very, very certain that the information that we gave you today essentially was 482 employer-sponsored visa. Okay. Now we talked about training visa. QK is related for those people who could not have 2 years of experience. Baki, who the employer is going to be, how do you get nominated, what specific requirements will be that to meet, visa proper, you know already whether you want to add your family. It is dependent on the employer who wants to extend the sponsorship to you. Sorry, note it down. And if you have a situation, you are working, your visa is running out, but you are working for an employer who is willing to take you on, you need some time, talk to us.
Yes.
Literally talk to us.
Because we can only talk about the general stuff. Everyone has a different story, different circumstances.
Completely
so
different.
So we can't really go and just talk about yours.
Yeah.
So,
but they're good questions. They're all very valid questions. But of course,
they're just related to one another somehow. Yeah. And we have tried to answer as best
I think we did. I don't know. I think the audience is our judge to see whether we've been good enough at the same time. But in the event, if we forgot anything, apologies in advance. Yeah. But at the same time, I hope you guys have enjoyed these live sessions that we brought you from Aussizz in Perth. And of course, Raveen, I'll let you wrap it up. But from me, thank you very much. It's always a joy to do this Facebook Live, because you never know what kind of questions you're going to get. We know it's going live to some audience that will perhaps not today, but later on the day when they actually read something, say, I got another question. And if you get that situation, email us still. No problems. We will still take it.
And we apologize if we have missed your questions today. And we'll see you next fortnight, hopefully, and with new information. Thank you for staying connected and have a good week. Thank you.
Awesome.